Why do CEOs make so much money? It's a question we're asking here at Breaking Views. As proxy season comes out, companies are disclosing what all their chiefs are making. There seems to be a demand and supply component to this, and Chris has kind of looked at this in terms of the globalization aspect of CEO pay. It seems to be a canard of sorts, why we pay CEOs so much money.
Well, I think the traditional explanation is often that this is a global market and these are people in huge demand. They can go absolutely anywhere. People are completely begging for them. And the argument that we were making is that actually chief executives are a lot less global than we think. If you look at their level of mobility, they don't tend to move around very much. And particularly US chief executives, who are the most lavishly paid in the entire world, tend to find it rather difficult to move overseas and head.
So there's not as much, so it's not really a global market as well. And you also kind of found that actually the returns are not really there either.
Exactly.
I mean, it's sort of...
Because you would think, right, that performance would figure into this.
So if you do really well as a CEO in France, then somebody should be coming to snap you up in the United States.
I mean, that would be the overall thinking, right? But when we started looking at the numbers, like, you're just not finding that. I mean, you look at, CEO pay, I think it was in the U.S., it way outpaced returns in the S&P 500. But then when you look at continental Europe, they're being paid far less for better returns. So, I mean, I think that was like some of the findings that we found that was just so interesting. It's like we couldn't find a correlation which justified such high pay.
So why is it? Why do we not have? I mean, it seemed logic would reason that there should be a global market for this. Why are we not seeing that? Why is somebody that's done a great job in Europe not being plucked and dropped into some big company in California?
Actually, we couldn't really find an explanation other than that there must be some kind of home bias. But I think it would make a lot of sense for shareholders if there were this global market, just to the extent that if you can get a French chief executive to do it for, let's say, half the price, which seems to be about the going rate, then obviously you'll be saving enormous amounts of money.
And the numbers actually show that CEOs do stay at home. I mean, particularly, I think you looked at some German companies and some Japanese companies, and I mean, Americans too. But
exactly,
I mean,
and it's like overwhelming. There seems to be some kind of home bias going on, where like looking at the top 10 Japanese firms, I think all but one was a Japanese national. We looked at German CEOs, American CEOs. I mean, that seems to be.
So where does this come down for shareholders then? I mean, ultimately, there's this. It seems like an artificial rate on pay that people are trying to defend because there's just so much demand, but it's not really there. I mean, what should shareholders then be demanding out of this? I mean, is there?
Well, I think that this is the thing, that shareholders are very sensitive when it comes to the pay of staff. That is, they're constantly trawling the globe for cheaper workers all over the place. The only worker this doesn't seem to apply to is the very best paid one of all, and that is just simply illogical. And my personal opinion is that it relates probably to the composition of the boards of companies who have certain social connections, they have certain professional networks and links.
And those tend to be domestic rather than global. Also,
and what you're also seeing, and we saw it when we looked at the UK, is that executives there, or people are justifying there, that the rising CEO pay that you're seeing there, it's justified because, look at the Americans.
Right.
So again, it just seems like you're just seeing an opposite flow or an opposite argument.
It's going the wrong way. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, and we'll be back with more Breaking Views tomorrow.